Hi, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, Texas, on Friday, October the 11th, and welcome to our commentary. I guess congratulations to the Yankees, who are going to the American League Championship Series. The Mets are also in the National League Championship Series, so I guess there's going to be a lot of baseball in October in the city of New York. So I'm sure the fans there will get pretty excited. New York City New York is one of the greatest baseball markets in the world. I'm not just talking about the size of the market, but I'm talking about the passion for the game. It's extremely high in New York, the same as Boston, same as Philadelphia, frankly. So anyway, so great cities with lots of history, lots of baseball history, obviously with the Yankees. Well, I've got a post over at the American Thinker today, Friday morning. You can check it out at americanthinker.com. It's on the right-hand side. And it's about men and why men are leaving the Democrat Party. Now, this particular point that I was making was about Hispanic men, that apparently in Nevada and Arizona, a couple of important states as far as the Hispanic population is concerned, that there could be a few surprises with the Hispanic vote, particularly Hispanic men. So check it out. I have my theories as to why the Democrats are having troubles with men, and I went into it in the post. I think number one is because men are very focused on the economy and national security as well. And I think the other reason is that the Democrat Party, and this is not my idea, James Carville, who's a pretty big Democrat, has been warning the Democrat Party that they've become too much of a feminine party, too much of a party that is constantly talking about health issues or female issues. And, Carville has told them, hey, don't forget the other 50% of the population, the men. So I think that has something to do with it, the economy, the emphasis on the part of men on national security. So I think those are some of the issues. Now, speaking of men, on another front, President Obama, and I've got a post about this coming out Saturday morning, President Obama was sent to Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, I believe, or Pittsburgh, one of those two places. And he was sent there to energize Black men, because that's another problem that the Kamala Harris campaign is having. Black men, they're just not as excited about Kamala as they've been about previous Democrats. Now, I think the issue here is a little bit more complex than it is with Hispanic men. But at least according to President Obama, there may be a factor here that they don't want to vote for a woman. I'm not sure if that's true, because there are many elected. I think the mayor of Philadelphia, for example, is a woman. So I'm not sure if it's a question of gender. I just think that a lot of Black men feel sort of disconnected from the Democrat Party, maybe not too different than the Hispanic men do, or that in general men do. And I think that could be a factor. I will tell you quite frankly that sending President Obama into Philadelphia or Pittsburgh, given the history of President Obama, who's currently a multimillionaire who lives in mansions, who never sent his kids to public schools. I mean, the idea that that's the one man who's going to energize Black men, I'm not sure that's the best way to do it. A few years ago, Colin Powell, when he was around, of course, he passed away, unfortunately, a few years ago. But Colin Powell, had he ever gone into politics, and he never really did. He was Secretary of State, I know, but had he actually gone into politics, I think would have been exactly the kind of political figure that could have done a great job energizing Black men, because I think a lot of men connected with him, with the fact that he was a military man, a man of tremendous integrity and respect. But I don't think Obama has that anymore. And if you watch the speech, and I'm not the only one who commented on this, Obama just looked completely disinterested. I mean, it seemed like he was just reading a speech. Like they just told him, hey, you go out and do your job and read the speech. He didn't seem energized. He didn't really seem that interested. And then, of course, he fell into the usual crap about, Trump being a threat, even equated equated Trump to Fidel Castro in Cuba, which I thought was kind of hilarious, given that it was President Obama who restarted diplomatic relations with Cuba. So, I mean, but overall, I didn't think much of his presentation. And I really don't think it's going to have an impact, because I think the problems with Black men and the Black population in general, and why I think Trump is going to do better, is because, frankly, the results in these Black communities are not very good. I mean, 8 years of Obama, 4 years of Biden, what has changed in many of these Black communities? Not much. The crime is still a problem. The public schools, what has changed? What has changed? Nothing. And I think there may be a little bit of a sense of, hey, it couldn't be worse with Trump. Plus, there's the economic factor. Let's not overlook that. So anyway, I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference, because I think a lot of these Black men in these communities are just angry at the state of their lives, the state of their communities. I mean, think of Philadelphia. Excuse me. Think of Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a city today that has very high crime. They cannot recruit police. The economy of the city is probably not doing well, again, because of the crime and everything else. The suburbs are probably doing great, but the economy, I mean, the Philadelphia economy itself probably isn't doing that great. And then you have the public schools, a total disaster, where huge numbers of kids are graduating who can't even read and write at the level they graduate. And this is, for many Blacks, this is a direct consequence of the Democrat Party opposing school choice, something that Blacks support. And crime is destroying. Black on Black crime is the biggest problem they have. So I just think there's great dissatisfaction with the results, and taking Obama off the shelf, if you will, and bringing him to one of these districts. I just don't think it's going to have the impact that they think it's going to have. Again, the polls could be wrong, and we will recognize that on the day after the election. But when you look at all the polls basically telling you that they are losing men, Hispanic men, Latin, or Black men, that they're losing men, well, I think you got to listen to that a little bit and maybe believe that something is happening out there. There is something happening out there with men and the Democrat Party. Interesting thing, I just saw this an hour or so ago when I was making some notes for our broadcast today. Donald Trump is actually doing very well with Catholics. Back in 2016, when he won the election, he won the Catholic vote 52-45. Now, back in 2016, of course, abortion was not really an issue. A lot of his personal problems were a big issue, but he did win the Catholic vote 52-45. Today, he's again leading 52-45. But here's the killer for the Democrats. The white Catholic vote, it's for Trump 62-36. So white Catholics are 62-36. That includes a lot of white women. When they tell you that, that all the women are going to vote for Kamala Harris, maybe not so fast. When you have numbers like this, 62-36, that's a pretty big lead for Donald Trump among white Catholics, who for the most part live in the suburbs, I would assume. And in some of these states like Pennsylvania and Michigan, New York, Maryland, Pennsylvania, I would assume, Florida, obviously, Texas a little bit. But that's a big lead with white Catholics that he enjoys. And how much of that is about abortion? I don't know. I've been thinking a great deal about the impact of abortion on this campaign, because everybody keeps talking about what a big issue it's going to be. My sense is that if abortion is the issue driving you to the polls, in other words, if you wake up on election day or whenever you vote early or whatever, if you wake up and you drive to vote and the one issue in your mind is abortion, that you have got to express yourself on abortion, you're probably going to vote Democrat. And you've been voting Democrat in the past. But on the other hand, if you have other issues in mind, the economy, then abortion may not be what determines your vote. But the point I also want to make about abortion is that our conversation about abortion at the state level today has changed because abortion is legal in every state right now. You can get an abortion in any state. If you have a medical problem and the doctor says you have to get an abortion, that's legal in every state. No one person is going to be denied an abortion if there is a medical opinion saying you have to have one. I mean, you have to have obviously a medical opinion. You can't just say I want an abortion. But if you have a medical opinion, you're going to get an abortion. So abortion is legal. Abortion by medical consent is legal. So what's the big deal? What are we actually arguing about? We're arguing about how big of a window will exist to get an abortion. Is it going to be 10 weeks, 12 weeks, 15 weeks, or is it going to be without conditions? I don't believe that most people in the country believe that abortion should be without conditions. They believe abortion should be legal, yes. That there should be access to abortion, yes. But I think most people believe in a window in 12 weeks or 15 weeks or whatever, where you can have an abortion, obviously for rape and incest. That's true in most of the states as well today. So I think the Democrats are positioning themselves in an abortion position that isn't really popular, which is a more extreme position that you can have an abortion at any time in the pregnancy. I don't believe that's going to happen. That is a popular position. And that's why I think they may be surprised with the abortion topic. Now, I could be wrong in what I just said, but I have a funny feeling that abortion is not going to be the issue that they think it's going to be, because for the most part, abortion has already been settled in the United States, and you can have an abortion in any state you want. The only difference is how big of a window and how many weeks and how long you can go into your pregnancy for an abortion. And the longer you go, the more that people believe that you shouldn't be able to have an abortion. Or it's after 12, 15 weeks, most people will tell you no to an abortion. So that's my view on this. I just think that this is a different topic today than it was maybe last year or a couple of years ago. Just a quick on this day in history. Saturday Night Live was started exactly 49 years ago today, 1975. And I remember when I got started, it was actually a pretty good show for a while, particularly in the early years, the late 70s, the 80s. It was a pretty decent show. Then it got kind of boring, actually. It got pretty boring for a while. It didn't seem to be very funny. Here lately have been a couple of funny ones, but I think the original crew, Belushi, Chevy Chase, Dan Aykroyd, Gilda, I can't think of her last name. She passed away. Jane Curtin was hilarious. Morris, that original crew was fantastic. And most of the good shows that I remember, most of the good segments that I remember involved some of those guys from that original crew. Here lately, I don't know too many of the players. I know they had a very funny segment last week on Governor Walz and President Biden and all of that. And the lady who does, Kamala Harris, does a great job on Saturday Night Live. But I just don't think it's as funny as it used to be. When it first came out, those first 10 years of Saturday Night Live, I would usually try to catch it or at least record it. We used to have VHS back then, record it so that I could watch it the next day because it was really funny. I don't think it's that way anymore, but anyway, we say happy number 49 to Saturday Night Live. I guess it's become a automatic Saturday night attraction for most people. Thank you for listening. Have a great weekend, everybody. I think Cleveland is going to win, and I think the Dodgers are going to win. So that's going to set up the finals, Cleveland at New York and the Dodgers at New York. Have a great weekend, everybody.